So what we have here is a Mozilla Thimble example. And what I'm going to do here is show you how importance of the selectors affects our CSS and HTML. So you'll recognize this example because we've been using it a lot, but you might notice that we've also added a few more things. We've added 3 more paragraph elements. This one says, my website is about my favorite things. The one below it says, my favorite food is sushi. And the third paragraph element says, my favorite holiday is Halloween. What I'm going to do now is show you guys how class and ID can affect our styling. So, how do we give these elements classes and IDs to begin with? Well, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this second sentence right here that says, my favorite food is sushi. And I'm going to give it a class. So to do that, I go to the beginning of the tag, and then I write class, the equal sign, and then I put these little quotation marks. So what I'm going to do is give it this class of fave thing, right? And now I'm also going to give the same class to this thing right over here, to the third sentence that says my favorite holiday is Halloween. So class equals fave thing. So what we'll see here is that nothing has happened to the code over here, even though we gave it a class. Do you know why? It's because we haven't actually given fave thing a parameter in style. We just created it. We gave these 2 paragraph elements a class, but we have nothing defining what that class means. To do that, we have to go to the style.css. So here's our style.css, and what we're going to do is we're going to start adding parameters to our class. So what is it again? It says fave thing. And I'm just going to copy it over because I want to make sure I'm very, very accurate at calling this in my CSS. To call the class in my CSS, the first thing I need to do is type period. And since I copied the name of the class from the HTML, I'm just going to paste it in, fave thing. The next step is to write those little curly braces to give our opening and closing of our declaration block. Right? And you can see, as soon as I typed those curly braces, the previous site of Mozilla Thimble outlined which areas and elements are affected. Pretty cool, right? So how should I change this? I think the easiest way that we can change this is by changing maybe the color of the font, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the word color, and maybe I want this text to be blue. And there you go. So what we can see here is that the other paragraph text is this 444, which is like this dark gray, almost black color. And then we can see that everything with the .fave thing class is blue. So in terms of importance, what we can say is that this class is considered more important than the body, like the general body element that we define in our CSS. So in terms of importance, this reinforces the idea that the class is considered more important than the body, or the class is considered more important than the general styling of a selector. But what about the ID? So the next step to test the rankings of importance, we're going to give one of these paragraph elements a ID. And to do that, I'm going to start with the last little paragraph tag. My favorite holiday is Halloween, and I'm going to give it an ID. And to do that, I'm going to put a little space right behind that. I'm going to write ID. I'm going to write it equals, and then I'm going to give these little quotation marks. And I think I'm going to call this paragraph class Halloween. What you'll notice here is that I didn't capitalize any of the letters, and that's okay. You don't need to capitalize letters. You can keep everything lowercase, or you can even do it all caps if you'd like. I'm just keeping it all lowercase because I like to keep it simple that way. So now I'm going to go to the style.css and define the styles for the ID Halloween. Do you remember how I said we define an ID in our CSS? So what we're going to do is we're going to write a little hashtag. We're going to write Halloween and then the curly braces. And just like the class, you'll see that when I made that little curly brace for Halloween, the paragraph element that is affected got highlighted in our preview side, which is really helpful, right? So, how should I style this Halloween ID? I think I'm going to change the background color. So background color, and I think I'm just going to write the word orange. And then I'm going to close it with that little semicolon. And there you have it. So what we can see here is that the ID completely changes and takes over the styles for the body, right? The background color at the body is defined as white. And the one for Halloween is defined as orange. And this definitely takes precedence in our code. The web browser considers the Halloween ID style more important than the body. Well, what about the fave thing? What if we target the exact same parameter of our other things, like the class? Well, let's try it out. Let's see. I'm going to change the background color here to something else too, so we can see how it affects. So maybe I want to do pink, right? So what we'll notice here is that the favorite thing class now has a background color of pink, while the Halloween class has a background color of orange. But if you remember, the elements that are part of the fave thing class include my favorite food is sushi and my favorite holiday is Halloween. So even though we change the background color to pink here, and this my favorite holiday is Halloween belongs to the fave thing class, since the ID Halloween is on this paragraph element, the background color of orange overrides what we did here in fave thing, with the background color being pink. So in terms of importance, the web browser considers the Halloween ID parameter more important than the fave thing because it's a class.